I'm David Barrie, Director of the Art Fund, which is one of the two main official supporters of the big art project, not just here in St. Helens, but all the different sites. The reason the Art Fund really wanted to support this project was because we are really committed to the principle of giving the public the chance, if you like, to encounter great works of art of every kind. So that ranges from prehistoric antiquities that have been dug up, through old master paintings and so forth, right up to the present day. And of course a lot of artists working today, and Jaume Plensa is a good example, work on a very large scale. The works that they're making often can't easily be accommodated inside museums and galleries. They belong in public spaces. So if we're going to give people the opportunity to see the very best of contemporary art from around the world, which is a very important part of our mission, then supporting commissions like this has to be part of the game. And I think this is from the Art Fund's point of view, it totally fulfills our purposes. Here's an artist who is not well known in Britain, but who has a great international reputation. He's now added to his canon what must be one of his greatest works. And he's also, I think, created what is, by any standards, a great work of art. And the Art Fund has played a very important part in making that possible. So, as far as I'm concerned, that is exactly what we should be doing with our members' money, and I hope our members and the wider public agree. Jaume Plensa is a big name now in the contemporary art world, all over the place, and of course very famous for the big project in Chicago with the video wall and the kind of gushing mouth into the fountain. But I've spoken to him several times about how he works, and I think an interesting aspect of this project comes from his fascination with Buddhist sculpture, particularly Japanese Buddhist sculpture. I was involved some years ago in a big exhibition of medieval Japanese sculpture at the British Museum from the Kamakura period. And this is sort of wonderful images, wooden, life-size sculptures of monks meditating. And I have to say, I think that Dream reminds me very strongly of the kind of mood that one associates with that kind of work. Very kind of meditative, very calm, and it evokes, I think, in the viewer a strange sort of sense of abstraction. It takes you out of yourself and raises you onto a kind of slightly more spiritual plane. And I feel that very strongly with Dream. I mean, it's on a huge scale by comparison, but it somehow partakes of that same quality of reflective, calm, sort of transcendent spirituality. And I think it's an amazing achievement. In 300 tons of concrete, you wouldn't guess you could get that kind of lightness, that ethereality, but he's done it. Well, I wasn't closely involved in his selection because our role really has been to provide the financial backing to make the project possible. But I remember coming up here 2 or 3 years ago when this was a bare hilltop and meeting Gary Conley and his team and Jaume. And it was really the first time I think Jaume had come here to discuss the project. And it was an amazing moment because you could see that Jaume was starting to come to grips with what a challenge this was going to be, but it's an amazing outcome. Well, it's brought an amazing work of art to St. Helens, that's the obvious thing, and an amazing work of art in an amazing situation, because the curious thing about this site is that you've got a really kind of panoramic view, and on a clear day you can see the Welsh mountains and the Pennines and so forth, and of course if you've got a good view from up here, that means there's a good view from down there too. So I mean, millions of people passing by on the road and on the train and maybe even in the air are going to see this work, and they're going to be drawn to it, and they're going to be drawn to St. Helens, and I think it's going to have a remarkable impact. St. Helens is going to become famous for a great work of public art, and that doesn't happen to a lot of places. So I think well done, St. Helens. What does it represent, the Dream? I think it's the kind of work of art that you kind of project almost anything onto. I think that's one of its great beauties. It's almost like a blank sheet. Here you have this strange ethereal image of a young woman with her eyes closed. She might be awake with her eyes closed, she might be asleep, she might just be kind of meditating, and you immediately wonder what's going on in her mind, and then that sets your own imagination running, and who knows where that leads. But I suppose it's got this wonderfully calm presence, and I guess one of the things that it must evoke for anybody living here, and especially for people who used to work in this pit, is memory. This is someone recalling the past, and perhaps also somebody thinking hopefully about the future. I mean, there are all sorts of possibilities. Maybe those are rather obvious comments, but it's certainly got this wonderful openness. It allows a lot of possibilities, and I think that's true of all the best art, actually. Works of art that tell you what to think are often the least interesting. In fact, they nearly always are. I would say this, I suppose, but I really am thrilled, because I think I always knew that it would be very, very impressive. Jaume is such a good artist. I knew that it would be a good job. It would be well done, and it would be impressive and imposing. But this is far more than impressive. It's got this extraordinary aura that I was talking about. I think it's going to become a real magnet for pilgrims almost. Yeah. The thing that I like most about it is that although it weighs 300 tons, it looks as if it weighs nothing. It looks almost as if it's not there. It's almost like a virtual work of art, like a kind of computer-generated image floating in space. But it isn't. It's massively material, but at the same time strangely intangible and elusive. And yeah, I think that's magic. It's an amazing achievement, and it's partly because of the elongation, I think, which makes it look unreal. But it's partly also the very, very the intense whiteness of the concrete. I don't know. It's odd. It's hard. I don't really understand how that works, but it does. It's an amazing thing. I'm thrilled, really delighted.